Welcome to another episode of the Say It Sister podcast, brought to you by Wise Women Lead founders Karen Harris-Kelly and Lucy Barkas.
This is your space for real, unfiltered conversations about womanhood, the messy, the magical, and everything in between.
We're called upon to name the taboos, stigmas, stereotypes, and lies that keep us stuck, so that we can rise and reign like queens.
We open up spaces and deepen relationships that bring us closer to love and a better world for all. So get comfy, grab your favourite drink, and let's say it, sister. Hey there, sisters. So the last time we spoke, we talked about truth, and we're going to explore that a little further today. And we're chatting about our own inner truths. Now, I truly believe that there comes a moment in every woman's life where we're called to face our truth. It might be a moment when the world quietens and we're simply with ourselves and whispers of truth emerge, or we're called through some kind of crisis or a change in our lives to look at who we truly are and who we've been hiding. And it doesn't come crashing in. It usually happens as a questioning, a sleepless night, a longing that you can't ignore. So this conversation is about that brave truth telling the truth to yourself, the kind you've been, burying within you, an edited version, something you've been justifying or silencing to keep things peaceful, presentable, to survive. The truth that says, I'm not happy here. So I welcome Karen. What truth are you here with today?
Well, for me, it's about sharing the raw and walking down this winding path of looking, ourselves in the mirror and to stop pretending, not to everyone, but definitely to ourselves. So I always go back to the same. We start with ourselves, we get to our core truth, and then we work out who, how, when we share that. It's not like everybody gets to know my truth, because they certainly don't. Maybe on this podcast they do if they listen. But it's not something I'm out there in the world being like, this is my truth and this is my truth. And hey, I'm going to tell you this. I don't live like that. I'm discerning and I understand context. So, but I absolutely have to live the truth with myself. And then I'm a bit more of a delayer. But I've noticed recently that I've started just saying things very, very directly. And it's brilliant. Like I said to Rich this weekend, I said to him, I got up early both days. So yesterday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, whenever he woke up at like 8, I was like, we need to share this and you need to do one morning over the weekend. And he just went, and they didn't. And I said, you're not looking at me. And he was like, okay, that's fine. And I said, okay, great. So it's done, So there's that part of me that speaks the truth and is more like, actually, this isn't working for me. And I'm doing that much more in my personal life. So that's a real blessings, because I feel like we have all of this emotional intelligence inside us that's sort of pointing the way to say, that's not working, this is your truth. And if we ignore it, then we become more fearful, I think. And then we fall silent. And there's a power in naming what we're feeling. And sometimes it's what we're afraid to see and say. But we owe it to ourselves, because nothing changes if we stay silent. We say that all the time, don't we? And for me, truth telling doesn't have to be shouting. It can be a quiet conversation or just 2 lines of something that you want to say. But it's that conversation between the soul self, sometimes the shadow self, and finding that point in the middle where the truth lies. And that's where the new begins. So let's jump in a little bit deeper. Let's go into our truths.
So here's one of my truths. In past relationships that I've been in, I now admit that I became a nag because I wasn't able to go to my truth about what was really going on with me. I would nag about the small stuffs and sweat the small stuff and just be on repeat. And nothing was changing because clearly I wasn't communicating what my want and what my need was. And I hated being a nag as well. And yeah, being in this repetitive cycle that just keeps going on. And then during my relationship coaching training, we were given a tool which was called the disappointed dream, or the complaint within the dream, and it
Wow.
really made me stop and look at all of those past relationships, all those past nags that I was doing, and just to confront what was the disappointment that what or the need that wasn't fulfilled. And what I realized very quickly was I would build a picture in my head about how I wanted something to be, and then I would almost just expect the other person to know what
Wow.
it was. And then when my need wasn't fulfilled, then I would be annoyed. I would put it all out on them. And that was a truth that once I'd seen it, I couldn't unsee it. And it became a real gift to myself. And I think this is something that a lot of women also face because we don't accept our truth. We don't look at our wants, our needs, who we want to be, what our unfulfilled dreams are. We don't want to go there because we want to keep the peace. And we do end up just being a nag.
And it's the resentment piece as well. And then we get into resentment. And I'm a big fan of naming resentment because I feel like where that lives is where we are really in a bad place because it robs us of the joy, of the connection points that we want in relationships. And if you've got two people in resentment, I mean, it's not a good recipe for a good partnership or relationship, is it? So I feel like that's the stuff that we've not really been taught how to deal with, of going, and I use the word all the time. I'll say, oh, I'm getting into resentment. Because, what is the because? Why am I in resentment? What is it that I need? How can somebody help me with that? Or is it just an acknowledgement piece with myself? I don't think until we can sort of name what's happening, we don't really know, do we?
Spot on.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hearing when you talk about that. Well, what a brilliant exercise. And for me, it's this idea as well of the inner critic, that we talk about, the saboteur, how it mirrors the system that we're in. So we have the patriarchal system. That's the world that we're living in right now. We have to face it. That's the truth. So our inner critics, our saboteurs, will mirror that because it wants to keep us safe and it wants to keep us in a way so we don't step out too much. Because if we step out too much, something that happened to us in the past where we were very hurt may happen again. So it's that piece for me. It's about like being deceived into playing small, staying on the same path in the same space of survival where we can't get out of the survival because if we do, we open up a whole new world and that could be dangerous. And how our real experiences are still living out in our lives, even though we're grown up. So for me, it's about breaking the systematic, I can never say that word, the
Systemic,
systemic,
systematic.
the systemic lies that we've all been programmed
Yeah.
into so that we can just say, actually, who said that I do the childcare and you do this? Who said that? Is that the best thing for us? And questioning that on a deeper level.
Oh, do you know what? Getting to know my saboteur was one of the best exercises, and I still have to keep revisiting. And now I'm very familiar with my saboteur. I know it's a her. I know her voice, I know her tone, I know some of the common phrases that she always comes up with. I know when she's going to appear because I'm doing something a little bit brave or something that's not the good girl archetype that I should be. So she always raises her voice, and now I stop and listen to a degree in the sense that sometimes she has some wisdom, and so before I go charging into something, and when she raises her voice, I'm like, okay, let me listen to that a little bit. I normally say, right, okay, I've heard you now. Thank you, but go away. But there's sometimes a little bit of just safety that just makes me pause, and in that pause, then I find my sage voice and I go forth. But talking about, I guess, the patriarchy, yes, my saboteur wants to protect the patriarchy, and it's telling me that I should be a pleaser, that I should put other people's needs before my own, or I can't do this, or I can't say that because what will other people think? So she is all about pleasing. She's all about giving without
Yeah.
receiving anything. She's all about not being too much or having a shrill voice or don't get overexcited, don't get over emotional, don't be a nag. All of those things
Yeah.
come up from that saboteur. And it also, the one that comes up time and time again is the one where it tries to equate the size of my body with my worth. That one,
Oh.
that's the biggest truth that I have to constantly battle. And and it, L'Oreal, get all these beauty products, be slim because you're worth it. I'm like, no, I'm worth it anyway. God. So
I
every time I
think
hear that one, I want to slap it.
yeah, no, and I think this is the world we've been brought up in, and it's the world that we still live in. And now we've got, injections that you can take that can help you lose so much weight. I know so many people that are, doing that. Some for medical reasons, which is obviously a wise idea, but you just get to the point where it's like, oh my God, it's just enough, and really learning to love who we are and the being part of ourselves is valid. It's got to start. It's got to be the beginning of the journey. I know we've not been trained that way, but the more we talk about it, the more we normalize that, then it certainly is a big help for me. I mean, I find that there's this whole thing around patriarchy and capitalism. I don't want to get rid of capitalism. That's not what I'm saying here, actually. But the view and the version of success is weighed against something that you're doing. So success looks like, I mean, it changes a lot, doesn't it? It would have been like get married, have your children, successful career, the house, certain standard, the car of a
Are
certain
you
standard.
just reading the transcript of my 20s?
I'm just going back into my own life, which will have been very similar to yours. It's like you do all these things. So it's like you work hard now and you get your rest later. But as we know, unless you break the cycle, the rest never comes. And we still have to battle to find our rest. And we know this. So I find myself a disconnect. I go, no, no, success isn't that. Success is being able to breathe at night. Success is being able to, know that I've been present for my daughter. Success is doing great work with women. I mean, it's layered, but then I can get caught up on that trap again of like the numbers and, yeah, looking at the numbers, looking at how many people are viewing something. We start to look at content. How's the content going? And we just find ourselves gradually, 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 that version of success changes. If we're all in that cycle, the world is dangerous, and we know that. So we've got to do our due diligence of going, actually, hold on a minute. Yes, that's out there, but this is my version of success. And I'm going to keep connected to that. I'm not going to lose sight of it because it's really important. Because I have found recently that one of the truth telling pieces I've had to tell myself is being a mum, running a business, actually running two businesses, a wife, they're the key things in my life, really. There's other things, but they're key. Doing all of that in the time that I've got is just way too much, and it's actually not sustainable. And we've talked about this, haven't we? And this idea of, but then I look at everybody else and I go, well, everybody else is doing the same thing. Everybody else is the same. Everyone's hustling. All the mums are stressed. All the mums don't know how they're going to get through, the summer, how they're going to get through the term. So we're all doing the same thing. So it's like, well, this is the norm then. So this is what you have to do. And that's a lie that I found myself caught up in recently, where I was like, yeah, but everyone's the same. So get on with it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. And it took a holiday for me of taking time out to look at the simplicity of life, nature, all the things that are there for us to enjoy, to make me go, I'm not buying into this lie anymore,
Mm.
because I choose. I'm in charge of myself, and I'm responsible for me, and I'm responsible for my daughter. I'm also responsible for, the choices that I'm making in my daily life. So no, it's not a sustainable thing, and I'm not going to buy into it. So I'm in a place now where, okay, so I know what the truth is. So now I'm connecting the dots in a slightly different way and trying to work out, what do I need to sort of feel wholehearted, to feel connected, to be present to exactly what's happening right now. What is it that I'm going to need to do that? And then what things can just fall away that are just not important, that are not adding anything to me or to the world. And it's kind of brass tacks a little bit.
Mm. I had this realization over the weekend, and I was sharing it with my best friend that this is the last summer that I'm going to have with my girls, in the sense that they both are finishing their formal education. So next summer, one of them will have graduated, and the other one will have passed their course, and they will be out there in the world. They won't be dictated by the school system's, breaks. The realization for me was, oh my God, I've spent, invested the last 20 odd years of my life around my children, and that was as I wanted it to be. I chose that. But then I'm like, oh my God, I have no drama, I have no stress in my life. And I said to my best friend, I'm waiting for the shoe to fall almost, because everything just feels too easy at the moment. And she said, Lucy, she said, who says it has to be hard? And it was that truth back to me. I'm like, actually, yeah, I don't need to hustle. That's not my version of success. So that was so for me over the next 10 years, it's going to be really exciting because the only person I get to choose for is actually me. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like, it's a bit overwhelming almost, and a bit scary because I'm not being dictated to by anybody. I get to make the rules. And so, yeah, my worth, my version of success, is literally on my terms. That is terrifying,
It's
exciting,
fascinating.
terrifying.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I've been in those scenarios as well where I've been like, everything's working really well. What's going to happen next? And it's almost like you're kind of like on the precipice of something and you're looking over and you just need to take the next step. But you're almost like, this feels too good, too easy, too
Yeah.
like you've had and this is where my saboteur comes in. Like you've had enough of that now. Get back to this because this is real life. This is not real life, and that kind
Yeah.
of like almost like opening your arms up and you get to this point, but you can go further back and it feels really nice to stretch, but you're too scared to stretch to the back because you don't really know what that looks like yet because it's not how it's been. You know what I mean? And brilliant, absolutely brilliant that you can
And
name that.
yeah, and so it one of the other sides of it is, and again, it's the telling the truth to myself. And you and I have spoken about this previously. It's about letting a little bit more of my inner self out into the world. And so I think traditionally we've called it the woo. It's all a bit woo woo, but I have always been a spiritual creature. I've always had a profound love of nature, the outdoors, animals, insects, rainbows. I look at the moon. I've even been known to howl at the moon and just let it go. But I don't share this publicly. Like to my closest friends, they see elements of it. And then if you come into my home, you'll see little trinkets and little things that I do rituals with. And that's my own personal practice. And then I'm like, actually, I don't care now. I want to be able to share that with the world. And the more that I do share that side of myself and stop keeping it secret, I'm just meeting more and more, not just women, who are also on that spiritual path, who also have practices. And, they say, oh, I meditate. Oh, I found some crystals. And whatever the thing is, I'm like, we've just been forced to keep it secret and
Yeah.
not tell the truth about who we are. So that's something I'm really excited about exploring.
I think we're both on the same page with that, haven't we, aren't we really? And I feel like, you've got these pockets of people who kind of, I mean, obviously women were burned for doing that. They were
Yeah.
burned. Anyone who was connected to nature, to the earth, to the moon, who had a reverence of, even just the planet, to be honest, were burned. If they had an intuition or they were seen as knowing something, they were burned. And we need that part of ourselves to come back to life again because it's been so incredibly suppressed. And even the language we use and the words we use to describe things today is safe because we don't want to be rejected. And not that we're going to be burnt at the stake, but there are consequences and costs.
Yeah.
If you are labeled as woo in our world, you know, never mind what we do in private with our clients, we might do things in private because they want us to go there. They want to do a little bit of spiritual woo work with us, but it's not, it's just deep wisdom. It's as simple as that. It's connecting to something that is bigger than us and, that's an ancient voice that lives inside that we all have access to. That's it. It's as simple as that for me. It goes it can go bigger than that, of course, but it's a simple, simple truth. And I'm just a little bit tired now of pretending or safeguarding, just in case people judge us as being woo when it's deep wisdom. No to that anymore. I'm not there anymore. I feel like this is what people want and this is what women want. And I did a thing, the weekend with a ritual, and I had the best response from people sending me messages because women want it. They don't necessarily want to do videos of themselves doing it. Some do, but it's out there in the domain of the world. And why would we not connect to something that's beautiful and pure? Why would we not do that? Because what's the other alternative? That's where I go to. I look at the darkness of what's out in the world, and then I look at the work that I do and how I connect and the beauty of it. And I think this needs to be more out there, to be honest, not less out there, because this is what the world needs. So there's a
And
honoring.
there's this the inner truth to everybody, and I truly believe this because when you look at a newborn baby, they are just all innocence and love and light and, perfectly perfect in every way. And that essence is still within all of us. And when I look at our own inner truth, yeah, we've got shadows and we've got the dark stuff and we've got regrets and everything like that. But actually, the real truth is who am I at my core, my essence? And doing those kind of rituals or those daily practices, whatever it looks like for you, and we can talk about some of the ones that we can use, but it's almost like a calling back in. We come back to ourselves, even if it's just for 10 minutes every day, and just center ourselves and get out of our heads and those saboteurs and everything, and just remember, I am safe, I am
Mm,
love, I am worthy, and reminding yourself of that. And that's actually, if the whole world just spent 10 minutes every day doing that, the world would be a healthier, more beautiful, unified world. I'm sure of it.
yeah, absolutely. So what are the things that bring you back to your truth about who you are?
Okay. So I have a moment for probably about 5 minutes when I first wake up, and I don't know, it's like I'm not quite awake and I'm not asleep, and I always get a lot of wisdom at that moment. So whether it's something that's come to me in my dreams, I never remember my dreams, but there's an echo there, and I get a feeling, and I just do check in. It's like what's here with me now,
Mm,
just whilst all snuggled up in my bed. So that's one check-in moment. Um, I also do my daily dog walk, and I got into a bit of a habit of listening to podcasts, and I've stopped doing it again because I realised actually I was connecting to that voice. I wasn't connecting to me. So I
yeah.
always know when I'm in the moment because I can hear the birds sing. And when I can hear the birds sing, I'm like, okay, now I'm really grounded. Um, we have a race course quite close to us, and the grass is so lush. And so where possible, I always walk barefoot because there's something that deeply connects me to the earth and the ground. Or if you're anywhere near a stream or some water, just putting your feet in water. Again, that makes me feel connected. And I am a journaler, so I often do that. And if something makes me feel moved, whether I see a ladybird or a butterfly, I always just stop and have a moment of gratitude. So these are there's lots and lots and lots of
Yeah.
little moments in my day where I'm doing almost a ritual. What about yourself?
Sounds like you've got the touch points in place as well, which are really important. I think we have positive, healthy, medicinal touch points where we can, just get reminded. And I'm a big believer in that. It's something that I bring in and out, but I'm back on it at the moment, and it's a mindfulness bell, and it's a little app on my phone, and I set it in the morning, and it just chimes every 50. I have it on every 15 minutes, and during that chime, I stop what I'm doing. I just take a deep breath. It might be enough, but if I'm sometimes I close my eyes, put my hand on my heart, and say I am here, and it is just the best thing, and it just fills me with joy every time I do it. I
Oh,
feel
can we
the
just
impact.
pause and ask the listeners just to take a deep breath now?
I am here.
Yeah, I needed that.
Yeah, and it's just the most lovely way to spend your day, really. And it's on as I'm working, and it just reconnects me in. And otherwise, everything can feel a lot like a race and a push. And that's why it's come back. It's something that I used to do a long time ago, and as I'm trying to work out now this new phase for myself of, just I don't know what it is. Like I want to give the phase a name, but it's more just about, real appreciation of myself and of life and work and motherhood and just being where I am. But that is the point for me that just makes me go, It's all good. It's all good.
Just
There's
stop
nothing to
and
worry
smell
about.
the roses.
And if it's not good, I'll find out it's not good and I'll handle that. And then I've got other things that I do, like my tapping, my little pressure points and my breathing. And that's really it for me. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to support ourselves. But I think that I realize that I have three go-tos that I use on rotate. And they're really comforting. And I think that's the thing. I think sometimes we're like magpies going, what else do I need to learn? What else do I need to learn? And what else is there that's out there? And there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes it's just about cultivating what we know and just using it and using it and using it. And then when those major moments happen in life, they're so entrenched in us that we go into automatic with it, and it helps. So that's what I want to say. Find something that feels really good on the inside and just keep doing it, and just do it over and over and over and over again until you don't even realize you're doing it anymore.
I love that. And I've read something, it's probably a meme or a video that came up over the weekend, and it just said, when you think everything is bad, watch the news and it'll confirm it. If you think everything is bad, just go out in nature and it'll tell you the truth. And that is so important to me because, yeah, if you're on whether it's social media or you're watching the news, like information or bad information it's just there all the time. And
Yeah.
whatever angle or algorithm wants to send you, it's just bad news, fear, 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 and it creates that division and it takes you into that saboteur place. Whereas actually, if you just switch it off and look around your own home or your garden or go out in nature or just take that deep breath and look within, you realise that actually you've got everything you need
Mm.
if we just slow down and just cut through the BS and the illusion, and actually just know that, yeah, there's love in your heart. There's love amongst your family, your friends, with the universe or your environment, and actually, that's all that we need in humanity. And just a reminder of that every day.
Yeah, and I'm just going to finish here with, I mean, when I saw Marianne Williamson speak, who wrote A Return to Love it was a while ago now, she was talking about that, and she was like, if we open up, we'll know where we need to go. It's like, what would you have me do today? Where would you have me be? Who should I be connecting to? Like the universe will give us what we need. We can guarantee that. It always has and it always will. And then there's this wider piece of it of like actually just opening up and just allowing ourselves to be led a little bit sometimes, because there's a force of nature around us and inside us that is guiding us, and we don't always know. So that is really, really important for me, and allowing ourselves to be that woman that opens up to the unknown and, to be the woman that we already are in a way. So I'm going to close today and just recap that the truth cuts through illusion and love can hold all of your wounds. I encourage you to do reflective journaling, and you can work with this question: what truth am I most afraid to say out loud? And what would happen if I did?
That's it for this episode of Say It Sister. If it moved you, made you think, or made you even feel seen, hit follow, share it with a sister, and leave us a review.
And remember, your voice has power and your essence is wisdom. So speak your truth and live a true and empowered life. Until next time, say it, sister.